Hey guys, Earth Angel Hills here. So today I want to share with you a little behind the scenes footage of how I create this necklace clasp that I use for most of my designs. Now, here's what it looks like up close. I'm working on some Etsy orders that I'm fulfilling, and I want to make it my goal to share more footage of the little things that I do that I think you would find helpful for your own jewelry making process. Now, just to get started, I like to use 16 gauge wire, copper wire, round wire for this design because it's aesthetically pleasing. It's very easy to bend, and it goes well with the design of most of the necklaces that I create. Here's an example of a necklace that I wear, and I put it on the copper chain, right? And then I connect it to these like connecting pieces at the end. Today I'm just going to be showing you the clasp part, and I use that size, like I said, because it goes well with the design. Sometimes I create things like this. This Cuban link is a lot bigger, a lot heavier duty. So as you can see for this design, I'm using a 12 gauge clasp versus that 16 gauge clasp because it just requires something more heavy duty. And I actually flattened this one out as well, but we're gonna stick to the 16 gauge, right? And so I'm gonna give you a look at what I do. It's pretty simple. So this would be kind of considered a beginner stage, but I fulfill orders every day, and I'm usually using this every single day. I even use it on like the bracelets that I create. I use it on these bracelets as well. So they're really like helpful to have, and I also sell these if you guys are interested in ordering your own. For me, if you like see this and you think it's too difficult for you to do, but you need these in bulk, I sell them as well on my Etsy and my website. The links will be in the bio. It's earthangel.com with a V instead of a A, so EV. But yeah, I'm gonna give you a look at what it's like to create these clasps and why I do it the way that I do it. So basically, as you can see, I have a lot of these made already. They're not in their completed stage, but I think it's best to make a lot of them when you have a high amount of orders coming in so that it's just something you can grab and put onto the necklace. So I'll just keep this here as a reminder of what it looks like in the end. So this is what we want to get, right? Cool. So I start off with my 16 gauge wire, and the tools that I use are a flush pair of pliers. I get these, their brand is Crescent. Yeah, Crescent, I get these from Home Depot. It comes in a pack of like the flush pliers as well as the needle nose pliers that have these little gripping rinds in the inside of them. I actually do use these for this design. I use a flush pair, and then I use a round needle nose plier as well. So those are basically the three tools that you need, and I'll show you how to get it to this step. Right, we're gonna take some. So the thing about this lesson, I will measure it out for you, but a lot of these things I don't necessarily measure it because I just have an idea, a mental idea of what it should look like. But for your intent and purpose, I will give you some measurements. So you basically can just take about, let's say, you can take 3 inches of the 16 gauge wire, and what you want to do with this 3 inches of 16 gauge wire. So with the 16 gauge 3 inches of the wire, I like to use the flush cutters because flush cutters provide a nice clean cut to your design. And what I mean by that is that on one side there's a flat side, on the other side there's a divot. And so if I cut it this way where the divot is, then you might see that there's like this like triangular shape to this wire. Yeah, there's like this triangular shape, but we want to get a nice flat cut. So I would literally just flip the pliers over facing the other direction, this way, instead of this way. And it's gonna provide me with a nice flat cut. Now, as you can see, for this design, it's nice and flat instead of that divot that we had before. I like to okay, so you're gonna take this 3-inch copper wire, and once you cut it and have that nice flat cut, you will take your round nose pliers and grip the copper wire at the base, meaning this part instead of this part. You're gonna pinch the very tip of that copper wire at the base, and then we're going to just twist it into itself. So what that looks like is like this. So I'm pinching it at the very tip, at the furthest most point of my pliers. I could use my thumb to stabilize the copper, and then with this hand I can twist like that. So as you can see, I'll demonstrate. I'm holding my copper in place. I'm pinching the tip of the wire very tightly, and I'm bending it. I think this is counterclockwise, into itself with a tight pinch. And it has given me this nice circle, right? Now, when you're doing this, this might not be that easy for everybody, even though it looks easy. I'll demonstrate again that you want to continue pinching it until it meets the other half of this copper. You don't want to like get to this point and then take it out and like come down here and continue to do it, because then it's not going to be a nice full circle. So the objective is to keep it really tight to itself, pinch, and do like a full 360 to get that circle completed. Now, what you can do is, in this circle, if your hand is gone as far as it can go, you can just twist your hand back to an earlier point and then bend it in again, and you will still get this nice little circle. Once I get this, which I'll go back to using the 3-inch copper that we had. Once I get this design right here, I'm going to cut off just a little bit. Let's say we will make it from the furthest most point of the curve. We will make it 2 inches long. So again, what that looks like is I'm hoping it's not too bright here. But what that looks like is I'm gonna cut it right here at the 2-inch with the flush side of the pliers, because I want it to be a flat cut. And what that looks like to get that flat cut is you're cutting it with the divot part of the pliers facing towards what's gonna fall off, and the flat part of the pliers facing towards the part of the design that you're keeping. So I've cut it, and now I have this design right here. Right? Now that I have this design, I'm going to take those needle nose pliers I told you about, and I'm going to pinch the very tip of this soon-to-be clasp, right? I'm pinching the very tip of it. And the same way we created this loop by twisting, when I pinch the very tip of this design, I'm going to bend it in on itself towards the same way that the loop is going. I don't want to bend it in this way. I want to bend it in that way. So I'm pinching, I'm holding this steady, and I'm gripping it really good so it doesn't slip out. And I'm not making a circle like I did here. I'm just folding it over like this. Hope you can see that clearly. I'm folding it over like that, right? And what I'll do from here is I'll just pinch it in. Well, I'll get it a little bit more flat. And I'm gonna pinch it in right here so that it looks like this. The reason I do this is because this is the part that you don't want an exposed rough end that could potentially like scrape someone's neck while they're putting their necklace on and off, because it's what I just created is this little part you see here. And this can touch someone's neck and you don't want it to constantly be scraping them. Now, if you don't want to do this, you could just keep it flat and sand it down really good so that it's smooth, but I find that, you know, this is just my personal preference of what I like for this design to look like. So once I get this with the loop going this way and the little bent part going the same direction and not that way, the final step will be taking our round nose pliers and finding the middle of this design, right? Finding the middle and bending these sides in towards each other. You don't want to bend it this way. You want to bend it this way and this way. So here's what that looks like. We're bending it down, and I'm also bending this side down. You'll notice, like, once you get right here, you want it to be like, you want this side to be maybe a little longer than the bottom side. You don't want the bottom side to be bigger than that side, as you can see right here. This side protrudes this one just a little bit. And if you find it falling off center, you just know, like, if I want this one to be shorter, then I'm going to bend this one more than I will bend the top. So by this point, after we found the middle and kind of got it just bent a little bit, I'm going to bend this bottom part in, and I can see, like, oh, yes, it's aligning exactly how I want it to align. And it's done. And then it's a little, like, lopsided, so I can just flatten it with my fingers like that. Or if you have some flat nose pliers, like this, you can just kind of pinch it a little and just make everything to look straight. And now we have this cool necklace clasp. So the objective is to, when you're connecting this to a chain that you have, and you have some like loops to connect it to, you will be opening this rounded loop a little bit, and then you're gonna put it on, you're gonna connect it to the necklace, and then you're gonna close it back up very nicely and tightly so that it doesn't fall out. And then on the other edge of the necklace, I already have this one here, so ignore this. But on the other edge of the necklace, you will be able to connect through this loop, like that. And we have a nice secure necklace now that doesn't easily slide off while somebody's wearing it, because this part right here is closely together. It can be open a little bit, but you don't want to be opening and closing it. It'll slide through on its own through that little gap. And yeah, that is how we do it, or that's how I do it. Let me know what you think about this. And if you have a different technique, feel free to share. If you have questions or concerns, let me know. And make sure you share this with anybody you know that is in the process of learning how to make jewelry. And be sure to like, share, subscribe, and have fun creating copper jewelry. I hope this video helped.